Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Criminal Justice Corner. I am your host, Dr. Jennifer Matthews. Here at Criminal Justice Corner, we give you the real details surrounding the case, and just in case you find yourself in the same situation, we give you potential actionable advice so that you can potentially get your way out of that situation. Today, I have with me a very special guest, and his name is Mike Knox. Mike, thank you for coming on the show. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a retired law enforcement. Now I'm a full-time actor, stand-up comedian, and writer. I have 2 books, and you can get a hold of me on MikeKnox.com.
Nice. So if they want to hire you to be a stand-up comedian, do you do that too?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So do you travel too?
I just can't travel because of my daughter. My daughter has epilepsy. That's prevented me from traveling, but I have traveled before, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, today we're going to dive into a very interesting case, I'll say, and I'm saying interesting because it doesn't have closure. It's about Max DeVries. Am I saying that right? I think it's DeVries. Okay.
Yep.
So Max, back in May of 2004, he was on vacation with his family, his mom and his sister. Previously, his father had passed away, so they wanted to go on a vacation together to just kind of have some alone time, kind of let their hair down. And while they were on vacation, they ran into these 2 men on vacation. One just so happened to be from Illinois, where I'm from, and the other was, I believe, his stepson or son of some nature. And they struck up a, kinship, if you will, friendship, if you will, with Max and his family. And they were going out jet skiing, and Max wanted to go. What teenage young boy doesn't want to go jet skiing, right? So Max asked his mom, could he go jet skiing with these 2 guys? And his mom said, yeah, she wants him to have a good time on vacation. And they go out jet skiing, and lo and behold, Max doesn't come back, but the 2 men come back. Mike, what's going on here? Talk to me.
Sure. So the 2 men, one was an older man, one was a younger one that was more, he approached Max in the beginning at the pool area and played with him for like a day. So to get the family getting the family more comfortable. So I think the second day where they went jet skiing, I think it was just the older man that went jet skiing. And then when they were trying to find Max, the mother actually went to the hotel room where the younger son was at, the adopted son. And he said, oh, I don't know anything. And then when the father was found, the father didn't come back to, the father had to actually be found and had to be found by the jet ski company. His stories were inconsistent. He had scratch marks on his face.
Oh my.
He gave different stories saying like, oh, Max just swam away, or the jet ski broke down and we tried to tow it. Max, we went out to this little island out there. So it appears to me is that some type of altercation happened between the father and Max. It's Aruba. It's another country. There is that possibility, because it's out in the ocean, that another boat came. Definitely a struggle ensued, but the police never investigated any of that, which I find so shocking. That the mother,
I find it shocking too.
The mother was just told, oh, it's just something with the ocean, and that's, very poor investigation. And I find that, disheartening that the FBI has a case number, but they're not investigating that. And here we are 20 years later, and this poor woman lost her son at the age of 14.
Exactly. He's a 14-year-old boy who goes missing in a completely different country. She's from the United States. She's vacationing in Aruba. Her son goes missing, and nobody thinks to sound the alarm. And what is really interesting to me is that it happened in Aruba 1 year prior to the Natalie Holloway case. Now, we know how big that case is and was at that time. I've never heard about the Max case until recently. And that's because of the 20-year mark. So why was Natalie's case more important at that time than Max's? What made her so unique? What made her so different that she got the national coverage that Max didn't get?
I think the difference was the mother. The mother in Natalie Holloway, stayed there and was knocking on doors and getting the media's attention. The Max's mom left after a week, and I'm not saying there's anything. I don't know what you're supposed to do, and you're in another country. But
Right.
she was kind of leaving it more up to the police and hoping they were going to do something. And then I also think that the Aruban police, because it's a vacation spot, they didn't want,
Hmm.
that's where all their economy is, so they didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there were a lot of problems. And then when Natalie Holloway came up, that's when it all exploded, because there's probably a lot of other cases that we never heard about either.
Exactly. So, would it be safe to say that because it's a tourist spot, that these police are inexperienced at dealing with these type of cases?
I just think, coming from a law enforcement background, it's people don't want to do their job, and you just kind of stick your head in the sand, and you're like, well, these people are from another country, because a lot of people think that the laws in the United States apply to other countries, and they don't, or they're thinking
And
that,
they don't.
they're
Right.
watching TV thinking that the police are these,
Superheroes.
CSI guys that are, um, going to be on the case, and a lot of other countries, they're very poorly paid, undertrained, and don't have the skills, nor do they care to. And a lot of them are kind of,
Yeah.
borderline mall security kind of. But just to have scratches on your face and
Right.
not to take the DNA,
Investigate further.
yeah,
Yeah.
like just to take the guy had 3 statements, just take his statements and then go, oh well, it's just an accident, and close the case. And not, they searched for Max, but they always looked at it like it was a search, not a crime. And then when the mother hired a private investigator, they found out that the father and son, that was actually it wasn't his son, it was an adopted son, that he had allegations against him molesting him, and so he's already got priors for being a child molester. And my thought first off the bat was, I would never allow my kid to be going somewhere with an adult. There's no reason for an adult to be wanting
Exactly.
to hang out with a 14-year-old, even though it's jet skiing.
Exactly.
I just think that
Yeah. Like we all should have went instead of just the
yeah,
one child.
and it's a combination.
Now,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. Now, with them just saying, okay, you said that there was an active or is an active FBI number. Why isn't the FBI more involved in this? Why aren't they taking it more seriously? We know Aruban police are not. Why doesn't the FBI think that this is a big enough case to have some interest?
I think simply just because they don't have a body, and that's the problem with laws, is that the if they don't have a body or kind of a crime scene, you know, then there's nothing for them to really go on. So they go, the other cases take priority, and that's what's sad. Or it's not, what they view as a high profile case. I mean, 20 years, it's ridiculous. 20 years have gone by. What I
Right.
find
With
ridiculous
no
is
answers.
you have a suspect, you got a suspect and a witness, you got two men there that know what happened. That was the last person. So
Right.
that's why I think that this case needs to be talked about more, because it's just unbelievable to me how much time has gone by where, I
Nothing's happened.
yeah, I get it's another country, but I think we're just used to having so much information within seconds, and there's so little information
Exactly.
in this case.
Now, what about witnesses? So we know we have the two men. We know that. What about witnesses? Did anybody see them go out on the jet skis? Was anybody around? Did we interview anybody else other than these two men? What type of investigation was done? Where's the documentation? What about that?
Yeah, so from what I see, there isn't any investigation done with anybody seeing anything, which is, I mean, I guess they were on a little like strip of sand in the middle of the ocean. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so the only kind of proof that you have is that they did rent jet skis. It's in that guy's name, so you know that Max was with the man. Another thing I don't understand is why those are two suspects and why they don't release their names. They're adults, and they don't release their names, and so there's obviously something going on. Somebody knows something else that's kind of covering it up. So just for everybody to not be, or to everybody be so complacent, that's very odd to me.
Or hush hush about it.
Yeah.
And then, too, what about, because you were saying there were scratches on one of the gentlemen's faces. what about testing that? Because,
Oh yeah,
you could test that for DNA
yes.
and see what's going on with that. Did anybody think to do that?
They just never did. The mother asked to do that, and they said no. They refused.
Hmm.
They kept saying it's a rescue. It's not a crime scene. So again, it's just failed police work to do anything.
But because it definitely sounds to me like what you said, nobody wants to do their jobs. Because how can you determine if there's a body, if there is a crime, if you're not doing anything that will lead you in that direction? Because if there's
Yeah.
DNA in the scratches on the people's bodies, because that's how you'll determine that. And we're just seeing, let's say, visible scratches on the face. Do we like do the upper torso? I'm not saying strip them or anything. Did we look at their arms?
Oh no, they
Do
didn't
we
look at
do any
anything.
of that kind of thing?
Yeah, they didn't look at anything on the adult. The only adult, and again, it's an adult that's with a child, and
Right.
not exactly not examining that guy's body to see anything else, if there's any bruises, marks on that man. And really all that the jet ski company really cared about was to get their jet ski back, which they did. That's also proof that there were two jet skis out there in the ocean, and there's only
And right. So
only
one person didn't come back.
yeah, yeah.
So that's proof of something right there. And I'm saying like obvious signs of, just anything. Like if you have on a short sleeve shirt, you can see the rest of your arm. So we're just talking about exposed skin at this point. We're not saying to be intrusive. I mean, you can take pictures of that, without removing your clothing if you have on a short sleeve shirt. And I would assume in Aruba, the weather is nice enough for you to be able to do that. And especially if you're in jet skis, you don't have on a parka. So what type of investigation was being done, or did beyond them not wanting to do their job, they just simply not care enough for this young man?
Yeah, I just think they want it, just like Natalie Holloway. They just want it to go away, and they just want
Hmm.
people to go on vacation there. And I think that also brings up the a lot of people go on vacation and they're relaxed and they're unaware of there's
Yeah.
people that are all around hotels waiting for you to get there because they know you're vulnerable and you have money, or you have
Yes.
what they want. And a lot of people don't think about that. Is that
Yeah.
you're letting your guard down when you're at a hotel, and especially when you're in
Yes,
another
you are.
country. But there's people there that you don't know that are they have connections to the hotel, or they have connections. They know, hey, anybody can go hang out at a pool, and anybody can come and
Yeah.
talk to you and find out information about you.
Yeah, they're just kind of like lurking
Yeah.
type of deal, like waiting because they know, let's just say Thursday is a popular day for tourists to arrive. Friday is a popular day for tourists to arrive. So they know, hey, let me go that day and maybe I can catch somebody. And we know human trafficking is a real thing. So could that have been the play? Was he set up? Were these men a part of something larger? So them not the police not doing their job, to me, is kind of like a signal for something bigger. Because if you're saying, okay, this boy is not worth investigating, how many other tourists are not worth investigating? And so this thing is kind of like just going on undetected in Aruba.
Yeah, and that is a good angle, because if he's kidnapped or trafficked, um, and then so much time has gone by, law enforcement look at it like such an embarrassment that they never looked at that avenue before. That could be a reason why
Right.
that they turn a blind eye to it and they don't want to look at it. And because of the fact that you didn't have the fact that there wasn't a body found, it is plausible that another boat, met that adult there, and that they
Exactly.
could have taken him. Sad to say.
And like you said, two jet skis came back, so we know he actually went out. And then the same thing with Natalie Holloway. So it's like a pattern almost at this point. So these are two cases that we know of now, but how many cases do we not know about in Aruba
That's
where this type of thing is
a great
happening?
question. Yeah,
That's my thing. I've never been to Aruba.
I've
I
never gone there.
thought Aruba would be, yeah. I'm like, I thought Aruba would be like a good place to go to vacation, but at this point, I'm kind of second guessing it because if the police are not going to do their jobs, why do I want to go there and patronize them?
No, and I actually knew a lot of people that went to Aruba to vacation, and they were always talking how great it was. And I just think that these cases, which are probably, there's probably a lot of other cases that we just don't hear about. But the fact that
Yeah.
they're young people that are disappearing. And same with Natalie Holloway, that you haven't found her body either.
Right.
And then
Right.
the suspect in Natalie Holloway went on to murder somebody else.
Exactly.
And just to leave so many unanswered questions that did not have like the Aruban police make statements, or just the fact that they don't continue to look for Max is also very odd.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I'm saying. So this, complacency, if you will, this complacency to allow suspects, because they're not charged, to allow suspects to run rampant in Aruba is like kind of a gateway for them to do other things, because no one's keeping up with these suspects. Because why? We don't know their names, so we can't say what they're doing now. We can't say what they've been charged with since that time 20 years ago. But like you said, the suspect in the Natalie Holloway case, he went on to kill somebody else, so we know what happened with him. So had the Aruban police done more previously, possibly he could have been off the street and that person's life could have been saved. It's like, if you do your job at the time you should be doing your job, maybe people can be saved. That's how I'm looking at that. What do you think?
Oh, definitely. I think having the suspect right in front of you that gives you three different statements is
right.
You placing yourself as the number one suspect in the disappearance of Max.
Right.
And they should have detained him, but they actually returned home with the mom in the same plane. I mean, how horrifying is that? As the mom, that person has, as the mother knows that person had something to do with your child's disappearance, and he's acting. He actually told her afterwards, "Hey, I'd like to send a gift to your son on his anniversary of him missing." So he made very bizarre statements to the mom.
So he knew he wasn't coming back, so to speak.
Oh yeah, he knew he was getting away with it. But again, that goes back to no grown man wants to go hang out with a 14-year-old unless he's a criminal.
Under no circumstances. Not only that, my thing is Max's mother has no closure. It's been 20 years. She's still trying to come to terms, come to grips with the fact that she went on vacation with her family and came back without her son. I could not imagine how she must be feeling to this day, how she felt that day, how she felt the next day. So for them to be so, lackadaisical, nonchalant about her feelings is beyond me. As your parent, how would you feel if, you needed help and the police were just not there for you? That is their job, and they're just refusing to help you in any way.
Yeah, and as a parent, that's why I wanted to talk about this case, is that I could not imagine, and my heart breaks for Max's mom, is that the fact that you have so many unanswered questions after all this time. And also Max had a younger sister who was 12 at the time.
Yes, at the time. Yeah. So she's 22 now. No, I'm sorry, 32 now.
Yeah, she's
32 now.
All of that has been taken away from her too. So it's a mother and a sister that don't have their son brother, and all kind of time goes forward and you're kind of forgetting more of the past. And so much time has been lost. And again, that's why so much time has gone by. Nobody really wants to focus on him anymore.
And I want to say this, just because as the police deem there's nobody, to me as a criminal justice professional, that does not make his case any less. He is still a person who deserves justice. He is still a person who deserves to have his case investigated just like any other person, any other victim, any other survivor, because he could have survived, but no one is looking for him. So now what? We just don't know because the police are choosing to do nothing. I mean, where's the justice in that?
Yeah, I think it also goes back to my experience was there were so many problems with the justice system, especially when you're trying to get a some sort of justice in another country. It's extremely hard. We often think like our justice here in the United States is bad, but it's 1,000 times worse in some other countries.
I used to watch this show called Locked Up Abroad, and oh my goodness, I was like, you know what? And I used to work in the as a sheriff. So I'm like, man, I thought it was bad at the jailhouse. Watching Locked Up Abroad, we ain't got nothing on that. It's like below the slums. Like I feel like even just watching Locked Up Abroad is almost worse than being homeless based on what I've seen. It's like beyond me. I'm just like, how do they do that? My takeaway is going to be um to I almost lost my train of thought right there. My takeaway is going to be when you're on vacation to never let your guard down. So we know like you're on vacation, you're at the hotels and you're meeting people, even if you don't meet people, be aware of your surroundings. Even when you're not on vacation, just be aware of your surroundings. You don't know who's watching you. You don't know who is out there. Is a new day and age. My takeaway today is going to be aware of your surroundings, because like you were saying, there was like a second day and then there was like a third day. We don't know if they were watching them on that first day. And then they were like, okay, now, go and talk to him. And then the next day we're going to go and we'll say jet skiing. What is he like? Or, what was the conversation like? And that's why they picked jet skiing, because we knew that that was something he'd like to do. We don't know. So it's always going to be aware of your surroundings and just kind of make sure that you're not being watched, you're not being followed. And if you are, try to alternate your patterns. Even if you're on vacation, it's short, but try to alternate your patterns so that people cannot keep up with you. Do things differently, go a different route. Try to, engage with like a security guard or somebody like that so that they know, hey, let me find a different mark, if you will, just so you aren't the prey, because it's not easy. That's going to be my takeaway today. So I want to thank you for being my very special guest today. And then thank you guys for listening. We are now available on a live podcast network. So if you are not already subscribing, please make sure you subscribe to a live podcast network. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, on Spotify. Tell a friend to tell a friend about Criminal Justice Corner, and we will see you next time. Thank you.